I'm gonna start.
Okay.
So I do have some stuff to get us off the ground, but it'll just be All right, so I guess we can get this thing started. Hi, everyone. We're getting close to the end of the event. Hopefully, you've had a chance to find some good sessions so far. This one's going to be more of an open discussion on the impact of AI in cybersecurity and in certain respects other areas in general, because both cybersecurity touches on pretty much everything that goes on nowadays if it has anything to do with technology, and AI is beginning to also do that. We've got an amazing set of panelists here. They all have very wide-ranging experiences and expertises, so different, I guess, perspectives on the topic. Do think of any questions you might have on the topic. I'll get the show started with one that's kind of both an introduction for each of the panelists and a kickoff to the panel. And that would be a fairly simple question. How has AI impacted your area of expertise, your sector, whatever you're doing day to day? So that's also a chance for you to tell us what you're doing in your everyday job or activity, and how has AI impacted both positively and negatively in how you're doing your day-to-day job. And if anyone missed any of your other sessions, that's also a chance for you to say a few words about yourself. So, Jayson.
AI makes me seem smarter than I am. It's like on stuff. It's like I don't know how to code, but AI does. It's like.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It depends on how much I'm charging by hour, I guess. But it's like, but I think that's the key thing. It's like AI enhances what I already know and helps me with things that I don't, and it does it quicker than it would take for me to learn it.
All right, Alexander.
Yeah, AI, I said that in both of my talks today, AI is scaring me, especially the development. I think Sora is the most popular part of it, where you can, by just your natural language, create videos. And I think we see that on TikTok, Instagram, and everything a lot, that there's now picking up a lot of people that, bring up cases, bring up small videos that look exactly like something pretty bad has happened. And I think the challenge that we'll have in organizations as well as the society is to really find methods on identifying fake information or fake assets in seconds, not hours. And I think we're now on hours or even days. And to pick up that challenge is something that's really scaring me.
AI changed my life completely, because before that I was only doing application security. Now I'm doing AI security, and I call it most times software and steroids, because that didn't have changed everything in the technical aspect, but a part of it, and this part needs to be secured, and you can do it technically, you can do it methodology, like it's called MLSecOps, or where you can do it with a secure software development lifecycle. So it changed quite a bit, but not everything.
In my opinion, right now, AI is either your best friend or your worst enemy. It depends who is using it.
Sometimes in the same day.
Yes. Uh, it helps a lot in automation, in identifying vulnerabilities and stuff like that, but it's also give us nightmares when there are attacks based on it. I think that's the rough evaluation,
that's
right?
a fair assessment, yeah.
Thank you. Since I didn't have the chance to have a presentation, I will introduce myself. I'm Dan-Mircea Suciu. I'm lecturer at the Faculty of Mathematics and Computer Science at Babeș-Bolyai University. My background is on database management systems and agile software development. So I think I'm the only one who is not a security expert in this room. Somebody thought that I'm the right person to represent our faculty here in this discussion. So this proves that fooling people is not only a security threat, but also a skill I seem to master. But on a more serious note, I'm really happy to be here, and I think that I could bring some value in this discussion. Any new tool, any new technology comes with opportunities and threats, with ups and downs, isn't it? Now, the problem with AI, specifically with generative AI, is that it comes with huge opportunities and huge threats at the same time. So it's very difficult to find that equilibrium, to find that balance between them, and to be aware about all these things. If you focus on one thing, the other things will come back. In my work, what happens is that our customers, our clients, believe that we can develop software 10 times faster, and they ask for that. And they are very serious about that. And it's very difficult for us to tell them, no, it's not so easy to do. But they heard about generative AI, we can generate code, so we can do it. And that's a problem, that's a huge problem.
All right, so that brings a very good point, and I think it ties to the next question I was actually meaning to ask. With exactly what you said, with the huge impact that AI has had in recent months or in the past couple of years or so, especially with LLMs being so pervasive now everywhere. As with any new disruptive technology, one of the main issues is the regulatory side and the kind of controls side of things usually is lagging behind. So it takes some time for legislation to come into effect, for any controls in the systems that use that technology to come into effect. And we've seen some great examples over the past couple of days of how even the simplest of controls can be easily circumvented, and you can still get that new shiny thing called ChatGPT to do whatever you want, even if they're trying to make it so that it only does nice things or ethical things or however you want to call it. Going back to your experience with this, how do you feel that this has impacted or will impact your area, your industry, in that there's going to be a lag until there's some controls in place, and right now it's kind of the Wild West for these technologies, both in a good way and a bad way. So the bad guys are using this willingly at any time, and for you to defend against that, for instance, it will take some time to have the proper context to do so, or you'll have to wing it until then, I guess. So what happens until then, or has it happened already?
No, I saw a meme on LinkedIn one month ago which said US innovates, China replicates, Europe regulates. So we are on the safe side because the best rules will be developed here in Europe first, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. On the other hand, I was thinking to, let's say, the positive side of using AI in software development, mainly in handling security. And it allows us or gives us this huge opportunity to make the transition between being reactive and being proactive. Because it can give us, it can help us to anticipate a lot of things. And we can have this opportunity to be more prepared for different attacks or security threats using generative AI. So I'm very optimistic from this perspective. So.
Right now, I know that the European Commission works on the AI Act. Also, ENISA is making a feasibility study on certification of the AI. We are waiting for them. We also, at the national level, working on an AI strategy. It will take some time in order to get it regulated. We will see how good it will be. We all know that it's hard to make something perfect from the first time, but we hope it to be really fast in order to simplify everyone's work with it.
All right, thanks.
I want to go the dark path of AI Act a little bit. I want to break a little bad assumption to it, because most people think that AI Act is like the thing we will regulate AI in whole Europe. But the problem is, if we look at the 4 classes it is breaking down to, and high risk, and also who it's enforcing into doing something secure, it's mostly about the deployer of AI systems and not the people using it. So in most cases, they are forcing OpenAI, or in because I'm from Germany, LF Alpha, which is a local AI deployer, they're forcing them to build secure systems. And we can spin that and go down a rabbit hole and say, okay, even if it's not ethically right what they are doing, for example, with GPT-4o, with some privacy concerns and such on. Many companies building out custom GPT or something like that, and when they fine-tune it, they are not a deployer, but they still need to act securely and ethically right. And this is not covered by the AI Act, but I think we will see regulations rising like in the Wild West. And this will be a huge part in the next months and the next 2 years. I think the AI will be through the European Journal done in June, something like that, and the most things for deployers are happening 6 months after that, but it fully covered is in 2 years, so something like that. But we will see. I think there are some, in California I know there are some stricter regulations, but that's a rabbit hole many companies need to go down to.
Tough conversation. I think the meme must go further, especially with Germany. I'm already bleeding out of my ear in terms of regulation. I think the German, context would then be German government is investigating in regulation, or they are not aware of it, or they need another 5 years or another legislation period. So I think for us it's really tough, because every time something comes from the EU, Germany thinks this is not strict enough. It is the worst. But let's be honest though, I think that we need to have regulation for language models that the society is able to access, and also that is helping people to, coming back to my talking track, to identify what fake information is and what is right. So this we need, and especially here we need our regulation for kids, for people that are just not feeling well or comfortable with being offended with information that is not probably addressed in their direction, war pictures, pornography, gambling, stuff like that. But on the other side, I'm really, like I said, I'm kind of scared for the fact that we need AI to, protect against AI, and therefore I hope that we'll get a barrier-free way of using AI the same way like attackers do, but with the intent of securing whatever is coming in?
Regulation's always going to be a problem. It's like you put 5 different AI experts into a room to do regulations, you're going to come up with 17 different opinions, and someone drew a cartoon avatar. Okay, it's like Henry Ford in 1908 created the first mass production of the horseless carriage, the car. Seat belts weren't mandatory and mandated by regulations until 1968. So do you think, and that is a hardwired, like, oh, that goes fast and you die technology. So do you think that we're really going to have all our governments who still are trying to figure out what toasters are and how to set the clock on the microwave are going to come down with proper regulations and laws to govern AI technology? And by the time they get halfway through a committee that does the research to recommend an investigation so they can see what the impact is on the environment and the people, by that time it's done, there's now going to be ChatGPT 2500. It's like, so it's always going to be that issue. It's like that we have gone from 1908 talking about cars to it's now 2024 and there's people orbiting the Earth right now in a spaceship that they got there by a privately owned company by some billionaire man baby who likes to like rant on Twitter. It's like, isn't it a wonderful future? It's like, so I mean, that's the whole point, is that it's evolving too fast to say, yes, this can be regulated, unless you get AI to help you create the laws, which will work out fine, I'm sure.
And that takes me right to your kind of Industry 5.0 idea from yesterday, where we had all sorts of changes throughout history, and with industry changes came a lot of changes in jobs disappearing, jobs popping up, like entirely new jobs. And if Industry 4.0, you had big data and IoT and all of that stuff impacting the world, you've now got the potential of having robots and AI help you do your job. So that's what kind of Industry 5.0 is. Given that, even from what you guys are saying, it's probably going to take a good while until proper regulation is in place, and it's probably going to be too late by the time that regulation comes into play, because that's going to be something that started 5 years ago, and it's relevant to how the world looked 5 years ago, which at the pace things are changing, it's too late, like I said. So with that being said, I guess it falls down on us to try and figure out ways to circumvent, to defend against, to control, to address the ethics, to do all those things. And I'm not sure we're equipped for that. And I'm trying to see how you're considering this part to be addressed. And I'm going to give you just an example. Anyone who's ever played with like LLMs and ChatGPT has seen the potential, but a slight difference there is that a lot of people don't understand that these are just large language models, not large knowledge models. And if you had played with ChatGPT in the early days and you asked it, what's 2 plus 2? And it told you 4. And if you told it, no, it's 5, it will tell you, yeah, I'm sorry, it's 5, right? You've got these models hallucinating. So the information that they give you is entirely unreliable, and not everyone is able to tell the difference. We had fake news up until a few years ago. Now with deepfakes and with AI models hallucinating and giving you some information that doesn't even exist or isn't even relevant, how are we to control this? How are we to deal with this before someone else comes in and says, well, this is kind of how we should be doing it through some form of regulation? What sort of approach should we take as just individuals?
Yeah. hit me
Wow.
With that one right off the bat. Why don't you?
Jason is silent.
No,
Wow.
because there's a lot of things that I would like to say. I don't know how to, but you
The
talk
mic.
about
The mic.
one of the biggest problems that we're dealing with is also it's not going to be the government that's going to be able to regulate it. It's like it's not. It can't be. It's like it's just too much of a thing. It's like we're still trying to get them to understand what the telephones, who's making phone calls that you have to worry about right now. It's like you saw the CALIA Act in the U.S. that hasn't been upgraded to deal with other different kinds of textual communications and stuff. So the problem with that is, it's right now all we've got is security researchers, people that are shouting really loud to nobody in the ether and hoping someone listens. And then you've got corporations, which I'm sure has our best interest at heart when it comes to keeping a rein on this to make sure that, you know, yeah, their profits may suffer, but I'm sure for the greater good, they'll limit its abilities, right? Which is the reason why GPT OpenAI removed the section in their website where it talked about they would not cooperate with any military initiatives. That's gone now from their thing. So I feel much better about that, don't you? That's also when they also talked about how the newest jet fighter that was had artificial intelligence in it actually performed a live piloting drill with like a plane in the air with other pilots in dogfights. It's like, so I'm sure that's going to end well. It's like, it's not. It's none of this is going to end well. But I didn't want to worry anybody. But still, the problem is, it's like we're going to have more initiatives of more people just not screaming that the world is the sky is falling. It's like, but showing the flaws and making sure people understand the risk. It's like that's all we can do. It's like in the 70s, no one wanted to wear a seatbelt. They're uncomfortable. They're like, you know, they're hindering and stuff. There are some people who are in an accident who die because they had their seatbelt on. But they started doing commercials, not just like the government, started doing commercials of the crash test dummies. Remember, where they were like actually animated crash test dummies and they're like going right through the window and like, you know, wear your seatbelt? Well, people started wearing their seatbelt because they started understanding, oh, there's actually real world consequences to not doing something. So it's up to us to show those real world consequences. So even though it's not being regulated, people are understanding the dangers of how to operate what they're given. And it's like, but we can't keep talking about LLM because quite frankly, when you said large learning model, I realized just then, oh, that's what LLM means. It's large learning model. I'm smart now. It's like, so, I mean, that's the problem. It's like if they're not dealing with all the different technical sides of it, how are they supposed to understand the dangers? Because we keep talking in the technical terms that they shouldn't have to understand. It's like if I had a mechanic talk to me the way most security professionals and computer professionals talk to regular employees about their computers, I would fire that motherfucker in a heartbeat. It's like, because it's like, you're wasting my time. I don't know what that freaking carbon thing connected to the thing and why it's regulating the air. Tell me how it makes it go, and it's like, and how much it's going to cost, and don't screw me over with the parts. It's like, that's what they're looking for, and we're not giving it to them.
I needed to look up the name and the case, and I'll really not have the numbers occurred. So sorry for that, but I want to share with you one case that I found personally quite interesting, and that is about AlphaGo. I don't know, anybody heard about an AlphaGo case? Cool. Can you help me on the numbers if I mess them up? So AlphaGo is a game that I think is mainly in the Asian, Chinese area, quite popular, and the game is especially challenging because there are millions of ways on how you can play it, basically. So with the first LLMs, or back in the days it was called just AI or language models coming out, they were training, researchers were training AI with some recordings on how the world champion has bet his competitors in that game. And they gave them the machine very much data, and it was capable of learning quite for a time, and then they were competing against each other. The world champion against the language model, and surprise, the language model won. So they said, okay, so now we have some sort of a pretty much the best language model that you can imagine about that game. And then there were some other guys that were smarter, that they were probably not so arrogant that they thought humans would have the best ways, and they just let language models play the game against each other 1 million times, and therefore trained a language model out of the possibilities on how a language model will play the game, and let that beat against the other one that was trained by the world's champion. And the large language model trained model bet the other one in every single approach, And that is why humans are not even capable of understanding, different ways. The language model was going down ways where the world champion would have said, that's never ever gonna work, but it did. And this is us, always thinking of ways to solve problems the same way. Although we might, want to open up our minds, we every time we try to solve problems the same way on how we solved them earlier. And language models will help us to find other ways on how to solve these problems. But for that, we have to open our minds and give the technology a chance to really solve these problems without, having this bias on, yeah, but it needs to follow these rules. It needs to follow that approach, because we don't know everything, right?
I want to get both of your points a little bit, knitted it together and throw it away. No, of course not. But we need to have some contra here. One point from you, Jayson, I think it's very good with the mechanic, because if we have customers, they don't need to know everything, and they want us in the cybersecurity space to know everything, and we don't know everything. But what we can do individually, like you said, is that we can improvise our knowledge we already have and use it to make the world a little bit secure. It's just like my mission statement, secure one byte at a time. But for example, we have many people who are in threat researching. We can use the knowledge we already have right now for this kind of technology. There are some bug bounty programs like Hunter for that, where specifically, and this is open source, where you can test on different kind of occasions with different kind of systems, but you can help make some open source models secure. You can make some closed source secure. You could maybe join the red team for OpenAI or for at NVIDIA. And that's what I want to say. Even if you're in some kind of cybersecurity space, you are getting in touch in some kind of AI, ML systems. And amplifies the knowledge you already have, and don't reinvent the wheel, and use your knowledge to make the world a little bit better, a little bit more secure, even if it's just technology or if it's ethically. And point it out to the systems, point it out to the companies, and help them get better. Because at the end, I think not all humans are bad, and we have many people as attacker, but we are also many people at the blue side.
I lately heard a nice joke related on this subject. What did the deepfake said when it was God? It's not me, it's my artificial intelligence. And I think the biggest problem is we are a pretty small community in this area, and we cannot understand that the other side, a lot of them haven't heard about AI. I don't say about understanding, no, they haven't heard. I think the most important part right now, before regulations and stuff like that, is educate population in order to see what is happening, what is true, what is not, and not fall victim to all the scams and stuff like that that uses the AI. The other aspect is that the good guys are always coming from behind. In order to counteract something, it needs to exist. In order to exist, someone needs to create it first. And that is also a big problem, because good guys are always running from behind. When you have a new way to protect, they have a new TTP in act. And that's also a major problem, in my opinion.
I don't really have an answer for your question, but I have this idea. I think how can we protect ourselves is by using AI. I think, why? I used generative AI a lot this year and last year. And I must say this, I'm able now to realize or to feel or to understand when an email received from a student is generated by AI or not. If a chapter from a diploma, I don't know, thesis, it's generated by AI or not. I'm pretty sure that you were able to understand, looking at the presentations these 2 days, looking at the images that were there on those slides, if some of them were generated by AI or not. Why? Because you used the AI. So somehow our brain understands, tries to understand and feels what is generated by AI or not. And if it is too good to be true, it's not true. It's like in food, fast food. If it looks too good, it's not real somehow. It's plastic. So this could be a chance. If in the past, reading many books made us smarter, now using AI very, very often will make us smarter. This is one idea.
Yeah, thanks. That's a very good point. And with this, I'd like to open it to the room. I hope you guys have had a chance to think of a few questions. Anyone want to start? If not, we can continue. Yes.
Hi. So talking about AI and cybersecurity, who do you believe is ultimately responsible for mistakes that AI produces? Who is to blame for its mistakes, for instance, in coding? Like more and more junior developers and students and people alike don't really learn how to code. They learn how to use AI to generate some code, and AI generates code with different flaws, so somebody is ultimately responsible there, right? Who do you think should be ultimately responsible? Thank you.
Very good question. It's software.
Very short answer. I think we have to make the distinction between authority and responsibility. The authority for generating code is on AI side. The responsibility of what that code does is at our side. So we as humans are responsible for the code we deploy, ultimately. So we should be aware of this.
I don't have a real answer for that. I'm not sure there should be someone responsible for that. It's your job to check if the code does what it should do. It's not my problem how you created it. You used AI, you just wrote it itself. I'm coming to you for that solution. It's your responsibility for that solution to work. I'm not interested whose fault is for the bugs behind. So you should, that's my opinion for that.
This is a really, really good question, by the way, because it's opened the Pandora box for ethical software engineering. And what I'm seeing is that we have so many senior developers right now, but we need the junior developers to get the next level of or the next people into the software engineering. And they don't learn if they don't know how to code. And if they don't know how to code, we don't get senior developers. But that's where getting the shift of maybe the job search a little bit, how it's by Jayson called. Maybe we don't have in like 5 or 10 years junior developers, or we have like software prompt engineer masters or something like that. But at the end, we have human in the loop. And this is like called in regulations, or how you both called it in other sentences. At the end, for the product we developed as a company, as an organization, NGO or something like that, we need to make sure to get a correct software out of our software development lifecycle. And we can't 100% sure that with an autonomous software prompting system that this is done right. That's why we need human in the loop still. And I think this will be the next thing, that you're not doing junior coding or software junior coding, and you're doing more like the human in the loop part of it. But responsible for what is trained into the data, I think it's who did train the model. So if it's in OpenAI, it's OpenAI, because they have the data inputted in the model. Or if it's Alpha in Germany, or if it's like some Alibaba or fine-tuned models, it's always maybe a shared responsibility model we know right now with cloud computing, for example.
Nothing valuable to add, not my domain.
When a coder creates an AI that causes harm, determining responsibility can be complex and typically involves multiple parties. The primary responsibility may lie with the coder or the development team of the negligent, unethical programming. However, the company that deployed the AI may also bear responsibility, especially if they failed to properly test, oversee, or regulate its use. To some cases, regulatory bodies might impose penalties if the AI violates legal standards. Ultimately, accountability can be shared among developers, companies, and potentially even end users, depending on the specifics of the case and the applicable laws. Or that's what ChatGPT tells me. It's like, so it makes me sound smarter.
All right, next question. We've got one at the back, and then I'll get to you.
Hi. We know for a fact that companies that start doing AI startups, everybody's doing LLMs nowadays, everybody's doing some research that is regarding AI. Do you think we will witness in the medium-term future another .com crash?
Oh gosh, yes. It's like, I mean, it's worse than MySpace out there. Come on, seriously. No, I think what you're seeing is it's new technology and it's unsure, but it's an open field for whoever gets it right. So there's going to be a lot of people trying to get it right, and until it gets done right, and then people know what to copy properly, it's going to be a whole bunch of different models. It's like, I mean, if you look at some of the things that have come out over generations, like years and years and years, it's like throughout the decades of history, I mean, we've had a whole bunch of different TV models. We've had a whole bunch of different TVs of different companies that have created different kinds of TVs. How many people here own a Samsung or a Vizio or something like that? It's like, they're like, and the reason why I say that, because they're prominently mostly the TVs that are out there now. It's like, so you look at the different brands. It's like there's a lot of different shoemakers, but it's like Nike. That's the one that everybody wants to use. That's everyone's, and your shoes are like on point, by the way. It's like I like your shoes, but that's the reason why I came up with the sneaker thing. But it's like because I was thinking about how cool those shoes looked. But still, when you go and you think about those things, it's like that one brand. So when AI gets it right, when one manufacturer, when one company starts producing the right results that start making it more, I mean, Meta and their Ray-Ban AI glasses are doing more for AI and AR than Google Glass ever did. okay, because it wasn't ready, and they didn't have any competitors, they didn't have any people to compete against. And so, and while that's sad because it's Meta doing it, it's like it's necessary to get those people in the forefront. So I think that's the whole point. It's like they're going to die off. It's like so many of these companies are going to crater so quickly. But that's even better though, because they fail faster, so they don't do as much harm, hopefully.
Yep, everything what you said, and maybe the addition that I think it will get worse before it's going to crash. So, yeah. So also, you know, all these forums and also all these presentations here nowadays, hearing how many Gen AI models we'll have in the future, in the near future, like tomorrow, that every company, every government, every software solution is going to have that. So it will get worse before it's going to get better, for sure.
I think I can't add much more value than that, but the only thing value to the startup idea. I saw a meme, I think it was yesterday. It was a video where there are so many Gen AI startups, and then OpenAI comes and roll it over with GPT-4o. So, and then all of the Gen AI startups are crashed because all of the work they did got rolled over by a big company. Whoa! And this is what I think will happen mostly. And I think you want to add something, but
yeah, isn't it surprising that Google wasn't the one that, you know, made that big change? I mean, that's what I would have guessed, that Google is the one that, you know, brings up a model that is ChatGPT for something related. And also, for example, Apple. I mean, there's so many large organizations that didn't make it. So I think, yeah, exactly what you're saying. This is just supporting your statement.
yeah, good that you mentioned Apple. I think there's some work in progress with Apple and OpenAI. I think they did some contract just some days ago, and it will be interesting because then they will something deploy Siri 2.0, and Siri got not developed anymore after they bought it. So we will see what that will do. But I think the startup factory, or like where all these startups are working right now, it could possibly be the end in 1 month or 2 months when OpenAI starts a really new big thing with SOA, in addition with GPT-4o and maybe 11 labs for voice synthesis and much more. So I think the big power the big companies hold with there right now will increase, and the startups who are working on things are going to decrease because they don't have the manpower and compute power behind that.
Nothing to add. I agree with everything that was said, and I don't see anything else.
All right. So then we have a question here.
Thank you. Based on what you just said, and taking into consideration the fact that you said also that we need to learn how to use the tool, and also the shared responsibility of using the tool, what do you consider that are the main actions, the next steps that we have to take in order to protect, to make aware those who do not know about the existence of such tool, and also to empower, to educate our colleagues who are not in cybersecurity field?
Basic security. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We know the threats. Most of us here knew how deepfakes are maybe generated and how they look. There are so many websites where you can do that. But I think for this kind of people who are sitting here, it's not a problem to see the OpenAI generated things or the LLM generated things. And I think there are different aspects you need to consider of these kind, how to secure it in different ways. You need to have it in a secure implementation way, where you have like the data engineers, the data analytics people getting the data right in, but also we have output and we can't stop the output and we won't stop the output. So we need to do some awareness training on it. And also for all websites, we still need to do the basic security mitigation things. It's okay when my model is 100%, okay, not 100%, that's not possible, secure. But what about the API it's working on? What about the front end it's working on? What about the back end? Can I do something with that? And attackers will get the path of least resistance about that. And so you need first do the basic things, and then you can do the advanced security mitigations regarding models, regarding the ML systems.
I think one of the things that terrifies me is that when the government gets involved, it's like, and you sort of got my brain thinking, and that's never a good thing. It's like, because I'm always worst case scenario guy. I can always make it worse. What if it gets to the point where, remember we all had cars, it's like, we all drive cars, and cars are deadly. They're like 2 tons of steel. It's like, and they're going at really, really fast speeds. I mean, trust me, I've got plenty of tickets. They go fast, okay? It's like, but if you drive them in an unsafe manner, the car doesn't get the ticket. The car isn't the problem. It was the person driving the vehicle. And up to the point where they have to have a license and be, regulated to do that. It's like, I mean, it's the same thing with well, no, it's not a gun, because it's like gun, you don't really need a driver, like whatever. It's like you can just take a gun, but America, boo-boo. But still, we're going to get to the point where maybe you have to have some kind of registration that's identifiable to you when you use AI, and AI is not held responsible for what you create, what you do with it, but you can be. And you're the one that's going to pay for that. And we're already seeing a little bit of that because people are getting arrested for deep fakes with the nudes and stuff. Because it's like, as soon as any kind of new technology, it's like as soon as porn gets involved in it, it's like it starts taking off, more people get interested in it. It's like, and that's the way to get it going. That literally, figure out why VHS and Betamax died, okay? It's like, so, and that's the problem, is that it's like when we start realizing the impact of it, we need to start holding how the people use it. So I think that's where you're going to see a lot more of the regulation, where it should be focused, I think. It's like, I don't think, how are we going to control AI, and why are we letting all the humans that are misusing it off the hook? Because I know I'm misusing it. That's how I roll. It's like, but it should be done within limits. So I think that's where I think our regulation should be focused more on, is making sure that it's not the AI we're trying to control. That's a machine. That is a tool. It's like, how are we using that tool? And who's responsible for how it's wielded?
All right. Any other question? Yeah, we have one.
So if I understand it correctly, in order to improve large language models, you need to feed them more data. But as now more and more of the internet is composed of output from large language models, it's getting increasingly difficult to find quality data to train them, because if you feed a large language model output to large language model, they break down. And do you think large language models will starve themselves, or will they able to go through this and actually be able to improve indefinitely? And also, what do you think of that internet theory in which we will have so much random noise outputted by large language models and various AIs that it will be increasingly difficult to actually find useful information on the internet? Thank you.
Find useful information. Have you been on the internet lately? It's like, I mean, I think we're already there. It's like, and please, for the love of God, don't get on Facebook. That's just even worse. But also, that's the problem. And also, part of this, we're not accessing all the data that's out there. It's like certain companies are accessing all the data out there. I'm not worried about the public AI models that are out there. What do you think Facebook's cooking up right now? What's their language model set, large language, whatever the thing you're supposed to say to make it sound cool? It's like, what about all that data that they've got to create their nice little AI, whatever they're going to call it, probably something creepy because it's Zuckerberg, but still, It's like, what is that going to be like? And you think Google is not going to have a really, yeah, they may not be leading, but they got all your stuff anyway. It's like you're using an Android, thank you for contributing. It's like you've used Google, thank you for contributing. It's like, so yes, it's the private companies and it's the AI models that you don't see right now that are the problem. Not all these public AIs that all the, the poors can go and look at and make avatars with. It's like, so that's what we should really be worrying about. Who has access to all those data sets?
Yeah, it's not only the internet that make me sad, it's also postcards. I'm only receiving postcards that are written in ChatGPT. It's really making me sad. I think my friends hate me that much that it just, feel mandatory to send me one, but it is always written in ChatGPT.
I think the theory is correct by now, because we've seen so much output data of that, and I think OpenAI said they are training on data from other models. And Meta deployed Llama 3, I think it's their name, and it was, yes, they called it Llama 3. Yeah, but they will bite your beep off. No, that's and for the first part of the question, I think we are moving to SMLs, SLMs, small language models. Yes, because most of the businesses, they see like, okay, that's too much data, I don't need that much. Okay, with natural language processing, I can get the input good, and with large language model, I can get the output good. But what's my use case? And that's where it's heading a little bit, with smaller models, with maybe a WAG or context-based model where we can get some information which is destined to be gotten out. And for the theory, I think we could all put data engineers into our CV, because we all compliant did data engineering for Meta, Android, and all the other big fours in there.
But there is already large language models out there, like GPT-0, for example, that identify what was written with a large language model. So I think stuff like that will definitely be integrated in the smarter, what was the name? Small language models. That maybe this helps to hopefully not break the internet down.
One of the things you said about the small language model I liked is like maybe having specialized AI, like your doctor AI, your mechanic AI. It's like, I mean, all the crap you're getting on WebMD, something's got to be better than that. It's like, so yeah, so start getting those specialized for just those certain subsets. And so you go to your little boutique AI to get a specific answer instead of just generally trying to throw it out there and see what sticks.
In my opinion, right now we have a problem because people still believe everything they see. But with all the fakes over there, in a longer or shorter manner of time, the problem will be that people will start and don't believe anything that is there. And in that moment, the internet will become irrelevant. And I think that's also a problem we need to take into account and take care how we handle things.
All right, do we have any other questions? We still have time for one. Yep. All right. A follow-up, I guess.
Okay, then to finish things off, I will ask more sort of philosophical question. Do you think it is justified that we call these tools artificial intelligence when they are nothing more than some basic mathematical models? Okay, not basic, but complex. But in essence, they are mathematical models, and we just threw the term intelligence on them.
I mean, to kind of add to that, it is in essence a way to generate what seems statistically accurate text. Whether it's factually accurate, that's another question, and that's how you build those models. But yeah, is it actual intelligence? Do you think we're close to AI?
I keep saying that the majority of them are just machine learning and not artificial intelligence. But in my opinion, it sells way better artificial intelligence than machine learning.
No, I don't really have an answer, but I was thinking it was a theory. I believe it was a strong artificial intelligence approach, something like this. And they tried to measure intelligence in this way. They said that a washing machine is smarter than a stone. And there is a plane which is smarter than a washing machine. And we can say that an LLM is intelligent because it's the smartest artificial thing we built, isn't it? So I think it's okay that we call it intelligent.
I will comply with your answer you put in your question. So, as we are going by definition, it is, in my opinion, not an AI. We are working with alpha mathematics, we are working with statistics and probabilities in the most systems we are knowing right now. And we will see if there will be like a combination of large language model with some symbolic machine learning system where we can get factual real answers, but even with that and combined with robotics, we will have maybe sometimes in, I don't know how, X years, I won't put some years out there because I will be proven false for sure. But I think that's where we're heading. We are heading with more context-based, we are getting more with factual-based algorithms and maybe getting there with true AI where it's caught in the more public areas or not in cybersecurity, and combined with robotics. This may be an interesting future, but I think that will be something we will still see not in the next 2 or 3 years. That I'm sure of.
Straight up, well, yeah, it's like smart refrigerators, smart TVs, smart ovens. It's like there's a lot of smart things we like to call smart really aren't that smart. It's like same thing with AI. It's not AI, but the only thing that I can hope for is when AI becomes intelligent and actually becomes a consciousness, y'all should be praying to anything. It's like that it is taught how to be consciousness from large language models and not humans. Because we were programmed since the dawn of time like every other animal. We do not do selfishness, and goodwill by nature. It is produce, survive. It's like reproduce. It's like get substance. That's how we were built. Society had to be created. Laws had to be created to start making us think, oh, I like those shoes. I'm going to kill you now because those would be mine. Because they're frowning upon that now for some reason, right? I mean, come on. It's like how many centuries ago were we burning people at the stake because they could tell us when it was going to rain? So it's society that is building. It's not human nature. It's like we try to be better than what we were programmed. I always tell people I'm not a good person. I am a bad person that tries really, really hard to be good and is more successful than I thought I would be. That's human nature. It's like, yes, there's a lot of good in the world. There's a lot of dolphins that will go and help, whales, and it's like, whales that will help. And then you got like those a-hole orcas that are just going to go after, which, honestly, fighting capitalism, way to go after the 1%ers. But still, it's like that's not based on, oh, I want to do the public good. It is based on just their individual nature or like what they've been programmed. So let's hope really, really hard that AI is not taught by us.
I have nothing to add unless I'm happy that you don't like my shoes.
I love machines. The more people I meet, the more I love robots. It's like, seriously. I'm just saying that we have to make sure we're doing it right.
All right, and on that positive note on AI and human nature, I think we can wrap this up. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the questions.